first free write is my parents will be furious when they find out. My parents will be furious when they find out what I've been hiding under my bed. A few weeks ago, I was home alone for the night. The power was out and I was very bored. I suddenly got the idea of a lifetime when I walked by the window in my living room. I saw my dad's truck sitting there. I remember seeing the keys hanging on the key rack. Without hesitating, I hopped in the truck. I had an adrenaline rush as I put the keys in the ignition and started the truck. I backed out of the driveway a little bit too fast, knocking over the garbage cans. I was so excited to drive and I didn't even realize I had knocked them over. After I pulled out of the driveway, I turned the corner and started to pick up some speed. I was having a blast. The music was loud, the windows were down, and I was going pretty fast. I heard my phone begin to ring and I looked down. My dad was calling. I knew that if he found out what I was doing, it would certainly be the end of my short life. I started to panic, thinking to myself, this is the worst possible thing that could happen. But it got worse. I waited for my phone to stop ringing. When it stopped, I was relieved and took a deep breath. Then I felt like I hit a rock in the middle of the road. I stopped and checked for damage to the truck, and that's when I saw it. There was an old man laying on the right side of the road, where I had just driven. I immediately went into panic mode. I only had one option. I thought that was to hide the body. So I started driving home when I got another call from my dad. I thought maybe the neighbors noticed the truck was gone, but that's not why he called. He told me that the trip got cut short and they were 20 minutes from home, and I was only 15. That is when I really started to panic, and I even felt sick. I wouldn't have time to hide the body, but I had to get home. So I got home and I saw my mom's vehicle turn onto the street. I couldn't leave the body in the truck, so I quickly grabbed it and ran inside. I threw the body under my bed just before my parents walked into my room to say hi. The old man body has been there ever since. Okay, my second free write. This time I really thought I might die. It was a typical Tuesday at school. We were listening to Mr. Gazella rant about something completely unrelated to science, as usual. I looked over at Harry and he seemed off. His color was different and he couldn't sit still. I asked him if he was okay and he just nodded. He asked to go to the bathroom and surprisingly Mr. Gazella said yes. I followed him to make sure he was okay. Right when we got to the bathroom, he opened and hopped on the toilet. He even forgot to lock the door. I was waiting outside to make sure he didn't get sick or anything. What I heard next nearly made me sick myself. It was the loudest noise I've ever heard come from one person's body. I felt bad for the toilet and even worse for the person who had to clean it. It sounded as if Harry tore open his rectum. But that was not the worst part. Seconds after the noise, the stench that crawled up my nose was absolutely treacherous. I ran for the door and couldn't find the handle. It was at that moment I realized I might not make it. That I chose those two free writes was number one because, I felt I did a pretty good job on them, obviously. But the more important reason is when I was writing them, I was pretty fluid. I didn't stop, didn't stutter, didn't go back and erase anything. When I corrected it, I did change some things to make it make more sense. They weren't too long. I find, they had a good beginning, middle, and end, good climax in them. My second one, I could have made it go a little bit more, but it kind of left it on a cliffhanger, me being stuck in the bathroom, thinking I'm gonna die. But overall, I was pretty happy with these two. My other ones, I did good on them, but I kind of got lost at some points. I didn't know what to write. These ones, it just all came right to my head as I was writing them. I was pretty happy with these two stories. The second one made me laugh a little bit once I reread it. First one, I felt like it could be, a real movie. Yeah, it's not as funny, but I still enjoyed writing it. My second one, that'd be a pretty weird movie. The one with Harry in the bathroom. But yeah.